The question that Joe asked is a pretty broad one. How do you sell a device to a cardiologist? I'm old, but not that old yet. Even when I started practice cardiology 2005, the dynamics of how Salesforce interacted with a provider, with a cardiologist or any surgical specialist, for example, was very different. They would approach us with a product, be it a new stent or a new catheter or a new needle or any simple things. They would approach us and they would kind of grab us between cases. We'll be in scrubs and say, do you want to grab a cup of coffee? And sure. And buy me a cup of coffee, sit down, talk about the product. They will say how this is so different from the one next to you. And then they would ask me, basically your influence is basically your volume. If you're a high volume operator, you got a bunch of influence in the lab. It's volume speaks. So I used to be a high volume operator from the very beginning. So they would come to me, even though I'm a very junior member on the team, they would ask me, how can I get the product into the lab? This is the classic thing. Then I would approach the cath lab manager and the cath lab directors, medical director, and it used to be, oh, well, let me leave you a few devices with you, and why don't you give them a try? And if you like it, we'll talk about a contract. This was the process. This was true for a few years. At that time, it was very, very true. And it was easy in a way because I felt good because I'm having some influence on what comes into the lab or doesn't come into the lab. Salesforce for the device company was feeling good because they could approach me and get something in front of me directly, the operator. Probably the shift for me, at least for my institution, started happening around 2010. It was a big shift. And by the time I became the cath lab director, I became the chief of cardiology, I became the chief of medicine, the entire division of medicine. So I had a little bit of a contractual influence. I started sitting at the contracting table, and the situation changed very differently. Systems started consolidating hospitals into larger kind of entities. And these larger entities, they want to control the price of the product coming to them. So they decided that reps cannot contact the providers directly. Although it's still people ping us and meet us and all this stuff, but most of the cardiologists today, if I can talk about it, it's true with every specialty, by the way. This is, at least I can speak for the system that I work for and work with. I work with the Providence St. Joseph system, which is a pretty big system now, and it's Swedish is part of it, so it's a big system. So now the concept is not one individual cardiologist trying to decide what to do with it. And all the hospitals in the system, which is close to 50 in my system, they come under one contract. They're sitting at the table for one device and one product. And if it is a unique product and nothing else in the market, kind of muscle the industry down saying that, give me this price, otherwise I won't use it concept. And if it is a multiple products and put it through a bunch of champions from different hospitals come and pitch to us as a group and pick a product and put it on the shelf. This concept changed in two ways. One is it's good. It's good that there's not much of noise for the cardiologists. We could standardize the work. We could standardize what gets on the shelves in the cath lab or the OR suites. And it allowed us to control the cost. And but on the downside, we started missing out on many important innovations. And we started missing out on modifications to the competition product, the competing product, that is much better in many ways. And even though there are times that we kind of know that that's a better product, since it's coming with a large suite of other products coming in, and it made it very difficult for us to pick one out separately. That is the biggest change that I've seen, how the device is being bought and used by the surgical specialties, at least.
Let me ask, when you say it makes it difficult to pull out one, because that one product replaced that one product, but that's part of a bundle, explain what that difficulty looks like. Can you, as a key influencer, or perhaps even when you were younger in your career, go to the value analysis committee and say, hey, I found this thing I'd like you to consider. I know we buy it in, with this other bundle. Is that a thing anymore, or is it just so unlikely to succeed that folks are even discouraged to independently say, I read this thing, or I know this thing, or I saw this at a conference, I'd like you to consider it?
We can bring it up for discussion, but these are big dollars. That's where the problem comes. The best way to describe is with an example. Say if a manufacturer has stents that they sell, they also have pacemakers and defibrillators that they sell. And say we pick one stent contract and say, this is it, this is what we're going to go with, this is the price, this is the workhorse for us, this is the volumes we'll promise you, and if you cross this volume, this is where the sliding scale for the price, and we can talk about all these fancy methodologies. But in the background, there's always this, if you do this for us, we'll give the pacemaker at this price. If a competing product has a stent but no pacemaker, that is a disadvantage. Because it's never written anywhere that this is all connected together. But that's how it works, because they go like, all right, fine, so we give you a nice stent price, and we'll give you a better price on the pacemaker also if you do that. that the other product, even though it can be superior, and if the superiority is not glaring, it's very difficult for the second one to get into the lab. Very difficult. And like I said, we're talking big dollars. We're talking a few million a year difference. So it makes it extremely difficult.
Does glaring mean twice as good?
It's not that. What's happening is many other products are sort of commoditized now. Their performance is comparable. And again, giving the example of a stent, the drug-coated stents that we have today, they have the risk of thrombosis, the clotting of the stent, and balanced against the risk of re-narrowing, restenosis down the road. That's the balance we play with all the time. If you put too much drug or kind of a drug that reduces restenosis, you increase the acute occlusion of the stent. So this is the balance that they play. And the difference, the numerical difference in these stent thrombosis rates are 0.34 versus 0.28%. That's what we're talking about this on a 15,000 patient trial. So we have very, very minute differences. How can you split hairs? And of course, when sales folks come, they will show my stent is better by X percentage. That X percentage we're talking in decimals. And when that is there, it's kind of a difficult sell to say that, why, if I'm getting a better price on this, if I'm getting a better price on associated products with their company, we'll go with that. And the other thing that happens is the products have gone to a point where their physical performance characteristics, delivery of a product or the usability or any of those, they become comparable in matching. So when there is matching like that, that also makes it difficult. The one thing I found out that is very, when I sit at the contracting and discussions and all that, there's one winning formula that I seem to see, it's a common trend, I see it more now than ever before, is the product coming with not a sort of a guarantee or something, but it's more to do with associated services. We'll give you this, we will give you patient monitoring system to go with it, or we'll give you a market outreach system that we have that we can help you with. These are the two things that I've seen consistently, especially a patient monitoring service. Suppose you put the thing in and we have this extra service that we provide. The concept of SaaS, software as a service kind of a thing, and this SaaS thing is just, is hitting everybody. It's hitting the medical industry now. It's coming to a point where it's not just a device and if there's any service to go with it. I think we need to move in that direction. That's one thing that I realized is, and again, like I said, one of my things I do is the medical device making and device as a service. I call it as a DAS. And this device as a service is going to be the next wave, I think. We need to figure out how do you provide service along with the device.